The transfer window is closing in about 30 hours, something like that. I'm recording this at 1 o'clock Eastern in the United States, so what, 6 o'clock in England. Window closes at 11 on Tuesday, so yeah, about 30 hours left in the window. And we are going to be talking about Arsenal and Moises Caicedo. Two bids have been approached by Arsenal. They have both been rejected. Arsenal are thinking about the third bid. Now. So the fascinating thing about this Arsenal situation, it's genuinely a very fascinating situation. Hopefully you guys agree with me. And we'll talk about Chelsea for a second because I think this plays a part. Chelsea are in 10th, right? They're going through a massive rebuild. Their owners are very, very ambitious. They have found a way around FFP by amortizing, that word is a very noisy, amortizing the deals by offering long-term contracts, so that way on the books they only have to show, like when you buy Mikhailo Mudryk and you put him on an 8-year contract and you only paid a guaranteed fee of 70 million, you divide 70 by 8, you only have to put that number on the books. Now all Chelsea have to do in order to basically get around FFP is keep doing that. You could purchase, doesn't matter, spend as much fees as you want, as long as you're able to spread out the fees over very long-term contracts, and that's how you complete your rebuild. That is the loophole they have found. Credit to them. They're doing, they found a loophole and they're going with it. UEFA was too late to stop it, so they're going to keep abusing it as they can. They're trying to sign Enzo Fernandez today. And so it's very important to keep a note of that because they are in 10th. They're going through a rebuild. Their focus is, all right, let's try to get back in the Champions League. But we could just burn as much money as you want. And then if they just sell a player like Conor Gallagher, who's been rumored, Everton want Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher is a homegrown player to Chelsea. And if they sell him, they could put the whole number that they sell onto the books and even out everything and get around FFP that way. So that's how they can do it. That's how these teams are able to spend so much money. Now, for Arsenal, this is not the case. And let me explain why. It's not because Arsenal are in FFP issues. It is because Arsenal are in a title run. And that's where it gets a little bit iffy and a little bit tough. Chelsea can keep spending because their focus is not this year. They have essentially endless pockets and they keep going. Arsenal don't have endless pockets. The Cronkies are clearly investing, but if you take Chelsea's the anomaly. Chelsea are doing something no other club in world football are doing. Not even Manchester City are doing it. Even PSG. I mean, I know they have a ton of players in their books, but not even PSG are doing it at this level. I mean, we're talking about signing 15 players. Real Madrid are keeping the powder dry. Barcelona are in financial crisis. Manchester United are looking for new owners. Liverpool are looking for new owners. Arsenal are spending a lot of money. It's just that when you see Chelsea have spent more money than the rest of the leagues combined in the last, 2 windows. I mean, it's genuinely insane. So Arsenal are spending money. They're investing. I mean, that's not the problem. The problem is you can't waste money when you are chasing a title. You cannot upset the apple cart. Chelsea don't mind upsetting the apple cart. They don't mind putting 35 players on their books because they are rebuilding. Arsenal went through the rebuilding process. They are starting to enter their competitive process. That is what they are in. They are chasing a title. So, with all that in mind, signing Moises Caicedo for 80 million is a little bit of a stumbling block. They went for Mikhailo Mudryk. That was their number one priority. That was their focus. They did not get him. So they pivoted. They went for Leandro Trossard. They went for Jakob Kivior. They're building out their squad. I don't believe Arsenal were going to sign Moises Caicedo if Mohamed Elneny did not get hurt and likely a season-ending injury. Again, they're keeping that under wraps. They're not saying anything about it, but it's very likely that maybe he has a season-ending injury, and that leaves only Thomas Partey in the CDM position because Sambi Lokonga cannot play CDM. You cannot play Thomas Partey through all the Europa League games and all the Premier League games every 3 days because remember, even the Prem games are going to be played every 3 days because the season is condensed. You can't ask Thomas Partey to play all those games. You're going to have to then move Granit Xhaka to CDM, which is somewhere you don't want to put him, and then you're going to have to maybe move Zinchenko and move everything else, and it becomes a little bit of a mess. That is why Arsenal need a central midfielder, specifically a CDM, in this window. But you don't want to ruin your chances for future titles. That's what Arsenal are building. It's really hard, guys, to look at it through a long-term vision when the title is right there. It's right there. The title is there for you to grab. And it might be as simple as you buy one midfielder, you could win the league. But Moises Caicedo might not play if everyone's fit. And you're still going to spend $80 million on him this season. He might play next season and become a starter, and he's 21 years old and everything. But you have to think about this from a building standpoint. If your priority is Declan Rice, do you really want to spend $90 million or $80 million on Caicedo? Because if you do that, guess what? You're going to have to spend $110 million on Declan Rice. If Enzo Fernandez is going for $120, Jude Bellingham's going to go for $170. What is happening is the market's getting inflated. And yes, this works for a team like PSG. This works for a team like Chelsea, who have endless funds. Manchester City to an extent, but Manchester City don't really operate that way anymore. They operate in a more shrewd, proper way of business. They will still spend a lot of money, but they won't spend $400 million in a window. They already did that 10 years ago. That's not how they work. Arsenal cannot afford to put themselves in that bracket because they don't have that endless fund. It's just not realistic. The Cronkies are investing, but it's not realistic to expect Arsenal to spend $300 million in one window. That's just not the case. You still have to renew the contracts of Bukayo Saka. You still have to renew the contract of William Saliba. You still have to renew the contracts of all the players that are performing extremely well. The wage bill is going to go up because everyone's wage right now is pretty low since it was a young team. Everyone's going to have to go up. Gabriel went up. Saliba's going to have to go up. Ramsdale's going to have to be on new terms. Odegaard's going to have to be put on new terms. Bukayo Saka, like I said. Gabriel Jesus is already on high wages. Thomas Partey's on high wages. You bring in Moises Caicedo, you got to put him on high wages. If you bring in Declan Rice, you have to put him on high wages. It's not just the transfer fees. It's just the wages. It's the wages. It's how you have to conduct your business. And so will Arsenal sign Moises Caicedo for $80 million? You don't want to do that because Moises Caicedo is not worth $80 million. I want Moises Caicedo. I believe he could provide the depth in case Partey goes down. I believe he could help Arsenal win the Premier League title. I do. But unfortunately, as Arsenal fans, we don't have the sugar daddy money. Like, we already have sugar daddy money. The Cronkies are spending, but we don't have an endless pit. And that is why football needs to change something, because this is getting ridiculous how much money, just let alone the Prem. I throw Arsenal into this. The Prem, what the Premier League are spending on players, and compared to everybody else, it's ridiculous. And you got to make sure that you don't get lost into overvaluing your players, and I think Arsenal are aware of this. That's why they walked away from Udrick. That's why they didn't buy Douglas Luiz in the summer, and that's why they might not get Moises Caicedo. It's a very complicated situation because you don't want to get put into these bidding wars. It's just the case. So what do you guys think in the comments down below? Like, with 30 hours left, what do you do? I'm pretty sure if you drop down 100 million guaranteed, you will get Moises Caicedo, but that's stupid. He's not worth 100 million. You say like, oh, it's not my money. It's you. Are you a member of the club? Do you support the club? Yes. Are you part of the club? Yes. It is your money. Unless you have like 200 billion worth of owners, it's your money. You can't just be thinking like, I want my club to spend 100 million on a player. Because then guess what? That 100 million, it's going to get attached to him forever. The expectations will be attached to him. The pressure will be attached to him. And that's a thing. If Odegaard went for 70 million and not 30, he would have more pressure. But Odegaard went for 30. People thought he was not going to make it. He didn't have that pressure. He's thrived. He's become a $100 million player under Arsenal. But he came in for 30. Ben White came in for 50, and you saw even at the beginning, you saw in the documentary, he felt the pressure. Kids were telling him, "You're 50 million, you're shit." Like that, the price tag matters not only for the club, not only for the finances, but even for the player. Nicolas Pepe went for 72 million all the time. All you heard was he's a 72 million flop. Look at Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho has been way worse than Nicolas Pepe, way worse, and Pepe was labeled as the flop. And Sancho's going, Sancho in his own rights has flopped. A lot of the top level players have flopped. A lot of them, those players that are 100 million for Lukaku, even Paul Pogba, who's been a great player throughout his career, people were labeling him as a flop, and he went for 90 million. So this is something that's really, really important. And remember, you have a plan for Declan Rice to be, in that midfield for 8 years to come, right? You can't be going out and spending 100 million on Caicedo and just possibly ruining that deal. I want Caicedo. I want him. I believe Arsenal should sign him for the right price. You cannot get lost in just spending money for the sake of spending money. Just because you get Caicedo does not guarantee you the Premier League title. It does not. It does not guarantee you the Premier League title. It will help. It does not guarantee. Get him in at the right price. And if Brighton just simply will not blink and will not sell, you have to look at all other alternatives. And to an extent, this is kind of Arsenal's fault. If they wanted a midfielder, they should have been more prioritized it more at the beginning of the window, but they prioritized Mykhailo Mudryk. They did not prioritize that midfielder because they believed El Neni was not. And for the second window in a row, El Neni apparently has a long-term injury towards the end of the transfer window, and now Arsenal are left scrambling. So is it bad luck? Maybe. Are they trying to plan it? Yes, but in my opinion, trust the club. Let's see what happens. This is going to be a very fascinating transfer window. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I will be back tomorrow in case anything happens. And it's not just Arsenal. Everything around the league is going crazy, and around Europe. I mean, João Cancelo literally just went to Bayern Munich because he had a fallout with Pep Guardiola. I mean, that's crazy because right now the only fullbacks that Pep really trusts at the moment is Rico Lewis, Nathan Ake. Nathan Ake is not a left back, but he's playing Nathan Ake there, and Kyle Walker. And Kyle Walker is getting up there in age. And Pep Guardiola has João Cancelo, one of the best fullbacks in the world, but because of the falling out, no one's bigger than the club. Because of the falling out, Pep Guardiola said, "Get the hell out of here. You're going out on loan." It's a crazy transfer window. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.